So welcome to this supplemental material. So the video that you're going to see here is not something that you necessarily need to listen to. This is essentially supplemental material to help you understand the assignment better, understand the process of submitting the assignments, and so on. Okay? So what we're going to do in this lecture, okay, is essentially looking at the basic infrastructure on how the assignments are structured, how you can submit them, how you can test them, what is input, output, and things like this. Okay? And we're going to start this by using a very simple assignment, which is completely, it's kind of a dummy assignment, like Hello World for the assignments, right? So essentially what we want to cover is the assessment architecture. Okay, and we'll use a very simple name where the only thing that you will do is submit a screen name, and that screen name is, you'll see why it's interesting, but it's going to be used later on for various purposes. Okay, so this is not even about optimization, right? It's just about using the infrastructure to actually submit a screen name, but this is the very same infrastructure. It is going to be used later on for actually submitting your assignment and showing you how you can test them and how you can submit various different solutions at different times and things like this. Okay? So this is something here that will tell you how to use, the infrastructure for actually submitting assignment. Okay? So in NP hard problems, as you know, okay, so you can take a huge amount of time trying to find high-quality solutions or finding optimal solution. But what is nice about them, at least for us when we are trying to assess the assessment, is that it's very easy for us if something is a solution. Okay? So if the assignment was the NFL schedule, we would be able to very quickly find out that this is a legal schedule or not. Okay? And we essentially exploit that information inside the infrastructure for these assignments in this class. All right? So it's, when you submit a solution, we'll be able to do a lot of checks. We'll be able to find out how good it is, if it's really a solution or not. Okay, so this is the assignment workflow, okay, for you guys. Okay, so what you're going to do is the first thing you will have to do is to download essentially the assignment. Okay, so you're going to download a zip file, and then you start working with all the pieces that are located in that zip file. So typically, once you have that, you will start coding your solution for a very particular problem, okay? And then you will test this solution locally on your machine. So you will basically have this process where you don't really interact with the infrastructure of Coursera, the website for itself, but you can test your program, run them locally until you are happy with the quality of the solutions that you have. Once you have that, what you can do is submit your solution, and then you will need to use the Coursera infrastructure. And typically, what's going to happen there is that when you are fine, your solver for a particular problem is good. You will test it, run it locally, and then you will submit that solution, and we'll have the solutions that you basically have produced. And you'll see the shape of these things, okay? But essentially, we'll be able to assess the quality of the solutions that you have and so on, okay? And of course, you can iterate that process, okay? So you're going to get a grade from the quality of this solution. But then you will be able to say, oh, this is really terrible. Other people are doing much better than I do. So I can go back and code and test locally and then, resubmit, get a better version, of the assignments, and then get a new grade and then iterate even more that process if you want to, okay? So this is the workflow that you can do, okay? So it gives you a lot of flexibility, right? So you don't have to work in a particular context. You can use the tools that you want. You can use your local environment and so on for developing the application. What we have to talk about is essentially how you test various things, because we obviously will give you benchmarks to evaluate your programs. Also how you actually submit the solutions and how you can actually look at the quality of that solution. Okay, so this is essentially the first assignment, which is essentially, choosing a screen name for you. Okay, so what you do is you go to the Coursera, web page, you find the programming assignments over there, okay, and you start looking at them, okay. So and you will see here that you will have a first assignment, which is the assignment screen name, okay. Now a couple of things that are important here, never forget that you have your submission login and your password login. You will need them at some point later on when you actually submit the solution, okay. We want to be sure that you are submitting the solution, okay. Then the next thing that you need to do is to start looking at this assignment. Wow, what is it, that I will have to do this, this week? Okay, and so this is what you see a little bit when you go there. You will see that you can download the assignments. Okay, so this is what you see over there. You can click on that, get the assignment. Okay, and once you are ready to submit, you will go back to the previous page. Okay, you will click. Well, if you want to look at other assignments, okay, so you can go back and click on this particular link over there. Okay, so the assignments will have an handout which contains all the information you need to do. Okay, so once again, all the information you need to have is in that handout. Okay, so you don't really need to listen to the videos, and there will be videos on many of the lectures. They're going to just cover the concept, give you some more information, talk about the input-output, but typically all the information that you need is in these handouts. Okay, now there will be two things that you will see as well. Okay, so and they will be Python script. Okay, and these Python script are going to help us, and help you actually submit your work and test your work. Okay, so typically, there will be one which will be called solver, and that particular script will be where your implementation is going to be. Okay, that doesn't mean that you have to code it in Python, right? So we'll see what you can do. But, at some point you will have to modify that Python script in a very simple fashion to actually test your solver, okay? So you can obviously call your external libraries. If you like Java, you can code in Java. If you like C, you can code in C. If you like, any languages, you will be able to code it from Python and do the work in that particular language, and then bring back the solutions inside Python for submitting them, okay? Now, we are very, very kind, okay, with you, is in the sense that the solver will contain, will basically have a parser for all the inputs. It will tell you how to extract the various input for the various, from the various files. So that's going to be in that script already, and there will be one for every assignment that you have. So we'll do a lot of the work for you, and then you, of course, can pass that information to Java if you want to code in Java, okay? And then afterwards, we'll also have some code to actually output a solution in the format that we want. We need a specific format to evaluate your solution, right? We need to know what you mean by, the solution. So we basically impose the format of the solution, how you have to output the solution for us, okay? And so once again, you will have code that basically is showing you what to do, and you can reuse that code, okay? So that's the first script. This is the most important script as far as putting your solver, developing the solution. Then you will have another script which is called submit, and that's essentially a script which is going to run your solver and then submit the solution to Coursera, and we'll be able to grade it and then report a variety of information to you. Okay? So these two things are going to be your lifesavers when you actually want to submit solution. Okay? This allows you to test your solver locally, and get the input data, output the solution, and this one is going to be the final submission when you are ready. Of course, as I said many times already, you can submit multiple times, okay? And we'll see some of the process on how to do that, okay? And of course, as I told you, a lot of these benchmarks are going to come with a lot of data, okay? That data is basically being, going to be a set of benchmarks on which you have to run your solver. Okay, now this is typically a handout, okay, so it's going to be a lot of beautiful text explaining you what the problem is. In general, that text is very clear and should tell you exactly what is expected, what is the input-output, okay? But of course, there will be video to make sure that we also go over some of these things such that you can see them visually, not only textually, okay? So this is a little bit the insight of what you see in this Python script, okay? And so in this particular case, the first assignment is going to be pretty easy, okay? So this is what you will see all the time. There will be this function solve it, and that's typically where you will put the solver, okay? Now the first assignment is amazing easy, okay? So the only thing that we are doing is basically putting a screen name, okay? So for putting the screen name in your first assignment, you will have to look at this, okay? This part of this part of the solver, and replace it by your screen name. So my favorite screen name is PVH, okay? That's what I did. I changed this line by that line, and that's the extent of the first assignment, okay? Now, at this point, I have my solver, actually, this kind of completely fake solver for the first assignment, okay? And then I can test it, okay? I can take my code, okay, and test it. And, you run the script, you run the Python script, and what this is going to say is that, you have submitted the beautiful, screen name PVH, Okay, so this is how this highlights how you will be able to test your solvers locally later on for more complex assignment. You're going to take this, run it, and essentially it's going to display your solutions and the value that we expect you to submit later on. Okay, so basically, solver typically is going to parse the data, do something, output the solution. Here, the only thing that we did was outputting a screen name, right? Okay, now. When you are ready to submit, okay, so you use this other script, okay, submit, and this is essentially what you see over there, okay. So as soon as you start submitting, okay, at this point you are really submitting to the Coursera website, okay. So what needs to happen is that Coursera will ask you for your login name, okay, and for also your Coursera password, okay. So this is for identifying you. You will have to type those things. Remember, they were on the pages that I've shown you before, right? So this is where they were, okay. So these are exactly the same password and login names that I was referring to before and that you are using for entering the website, okay. So this is essentially what you have to use when you are submitting the assignment, okay. So you connect this, and in this particular case, what you're going to see, essentially this script is going to identify you, run your solver, and you see in this particular case that we output the screen name, and then this is essentially submitting that solution to the Coursera website, and then we can process them and evaluate these solutions. Okay, so you can see here is that your submission has been accepted and will be graded soon. That's basically us telling you, yes, everything is fine, we'll grade your stuff as quickly as possible. Okay? So you can view, of course, once you have done that, you can start viewing the results, okay, of your assignment, okay. You have this beautiful button, in the feedback column that you can click on, okay, and you will get some, various kinds of message. In this case, you get a nice message congratulating you for actually putting the screen name, and successfully submitting your first assignment. Okay. Now, for other assignment, it's going to be more interesting. Okay. And one of the things that you will see is something where it's what we call a leaderboard. Okay, so basically for every problem, you will be able to find out how good you are doing. Okay, so essentially for every problem, for every problem that you will be able to solve, NPR problems, homework, assignments that you will have every week, you will basically see all the screen names of the various people and how good they are doing. Okay, and that gives you a sense of how good your solutions are. Okay, so sometimes some of the problems that will give you are really, really hard. Okay, and you won't be really, be able to prove optimality, but you will want to find out how good your algorithm is compared to other people, and that gives you a sense of how good your solutions have been so far. Okay, so you can look at these things, okay, and you can find out where you stand and whether you should do more work on improving your solutions, or you are really the leader of the board and you can rest on your laurel until somebody actually improve your solutions. Okay, so basically at every time you will be able to see on every one of the assignments how good you are doing. Okay. No, don't exploit us. Don't submit completely wrong information. Don't submit things that you don't want to cheat. Okay. So this class is basically you won't learn anything if you cheat, and this class is basically trusting you to do the right thing. Okay. One of the things that so these things are very valuable in practice, because on these problems, as I told you, you don't really know what to do, if you abuse the system, okay? So this is going to be essentially abusing all the students that are there, okay? Of course, we will find out at some point because we know exactly how these problems can be solved, but please, behave correctly. Okay, so have fun. This is how the infrastructure has been set up. We've been working very, very hard, especially Carlton, in putting this together. Okay, so make sure that you understand how to do it, and then you should have a very simple way of submitting and testing all these assignments. Thank you.